morning, hi. Go back into the banter of being a presenter. Gosh. So we're here again for the Care Alliance at Who Cares podcast. We've come together today to talk about something really important, haven't we?
Yeah.
Tell us all about it. Tell us all about pastoral care and why it's important and what you do.
Yeah, so pastoral care is so important. It gives the care workers that we hire the belonging before they arrive in the country. So obviously they've got me and the rest of the team kind of as a first point contact. We've all got work phones with WhatsApp. And you know, if you talk to us through the process, we're there for you and we answer all of your questions. As soon as you have your interview, obviously we've got our WhatsApp, you've got our team's email address. Our team will email you and start collecting your documents, and then in that time I will then get in touch as our pastoral facilitator and just sort of guide you through that process. And then when you've been allocated to a cohort, I will then add you to a WhatsApp group with your cohort members, so people that you're arriving at the same time with or that will be working in the same company as you. So you can get to know them, you can ask me any questions.
Yeah.
Your employer will be in there sometimes as well, which is a really great sort of opportunity to get to know your employer, where you'll be. So we do that. I'm working on what's called an e-learning program at the moment. I'm nearly finished. And that is a link that I will send to people. Take advantage of that time really where you've been allocated your cohort and you're waiting for your flights. You know, that's about a month, isn't it? It takes between that time.
Easily.
What are you covering in this e-learning?
Oh, so much.
Come on, let's have a sneak preview.
A taster.
Ooh.
So it's a multi-professional e-learning program, so it covers a lot of different professions.
Yeah.
So it'll be an introduction to the UK. We talk about idioms, so that's
Idioms?
Idioms.
What is an idiom?
So an idiom is a phrase that is used that doesn't sound like it means what it means. So I would say, gonna spend a penny, for example, that's an idiom.
Okay.
So we talk about that a lot. So cup of tea. We also talk about how to make a cup of tea. That's really important, I think, especially when you're caring for people.
And in the UK, if you can't make a cup of tea,
it's a religion.
It's not great,
No,
is it?
no. A cup of tea is so important in the UK. A cup of tea solves so many things.
I think what I find funny is, you know, over the last couple of years, I've spoken to different employees saying, oh, do you know what, John? They've come here, they can't cook. And like, if I dropped you in Uganda and said, go and cook a meal.
Which is red list, by the way, so we can't recruit from there.
Would you be able to cook, you know?
Yeah.
And I think people just forget, don't you know, even when you go on holiday,
Yeah.
you would have no idea. You've got
No.
dropped into that country,
Yeah.
couldn't speak the language,
Yeah.
and went, go and do a baked potato.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the stuff it's stuff that they'll pick up as they're here, but we do talk about things like that, about cooking, the weather. I think the weather is so important because, as we said in our previous podcast, you know, they are cold. No matter where you're coming from, it is cold. Any time of year, it is cold.
And it's raining.
And it's raining.
Yeah.
Not all the time, but yeah. So we talk about that. We talk about, you know, plug sockets, because they'll need to know
See,
that.
I hadn't really considered plug sockets.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because when you go on holiday, you're
Yeah.
always taking a plug.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Little
plug sockets, yes. How to pack. So we talk about rolling clothes rather than folding clothes. You get more room in your suitcase.
Tip for your holiday.
Tip for your holidays.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, so we talk about tone of voice as well. So I think it's important to know that when you're talking to people, it's not what you say, but it's how you say it as well. And the tone of your voice conveys so much, especially to patients.
I think so. And some countries, unfortunately, their tone is quite blunt.
Yeah.
And that's not being rude.
No.
It's just the way they are.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, you know, we've had a client phone up before and saying, oh, they're always so blunt to me. And I'm like, that's just their personality. And actually, sometimes, I mean, they look glint in their eye, but you know they're joking. But they still come across really blunt.
Yeah, but they also need to realise that if you're working with patients, you know, you're in their home and you do, you know, it's 50-50, you know, part of us do need to come up to their level, but you do need to come down to our level as well.
Or just give them a chance. Just give them a chance.
Both.
Give them a couple of weeks to get to know them.
You'll be laughing in no time.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I was almost belly laughing a few weeks ago with one of my team. Just and it was about, I can't remember what it was about. It was about something that was just so normal to me, but so odd to them, and I just couldn't get my head around it. It was funny. It was a funny moment.
Yeah, but they take it in jest as well, and they get that it's funny, and actually they do get our sense of humour and the sarcasm and the silliness.
I think that's why it's so important for us to discuss the cultural differences and what they can expect from us as well, because obviously it would be strange for them for us to be maybe too quiet or not say anything, and so it works both ways, and when we discuss this through the e-learning package, it makes such a difference and it gives them a sort of precursor of what they might expect.
So. I'm really pleased you're doing that. I wish that my ladies and gents had your e-learning right from the beginning, because it's a learning curve for you, isn't it, since you first started this?
Yeah, definitely.
But I think the funniest thing that I've come across is when you've got a really dry sense of humour, because you sort of say it so bluntly as fact, and they sort of go, I am just joking, it's okay, But, it's a learning curve, and like you say, I think it is about flexibility both ways.
Yeah, definitely.
And education for our clients is really important.
Yes.
If you are having a new team coming into you, they do have a different culture.
Yes.
They are a different colour.
Yeah.
And they may not get everything you say.
Yeah, and that's where the All About Me document that we made come in. I don't know if you remember that, but we did that quite early on, and it was based on a dementia document which is called This Is Me. So patients with dementia have this document, and it's about how they like things done. So we kind of took that and we ran with it, and we changed it to All About Me. So it's about the new member of staff that's coming in. It's got a nice picture of them, their name, what they like to be called, because sometimes they like to have a nickname. I know there's a care worker that we hired, and she likes to be called Grace, but that's not actually her name. So.
But we've got lots of elderly people like that. I mean,
exactly.
So many times over the years, I've been having a client and I've been going, all right, Dave, and I get his care pal, and it's Steve or something, and he was just called Dave, like something out of Only Fools and Horses, forever. But he prefers that, so why not indeed?
Yeah,
why
exactly. So and then it talks about where they're from, what their culture is, what their religion is, their family, when their birthday is, what they're looking forward to trying in the UK food-wise. Roast dinner, bangers and mash we've had.
Could you imagine not having a roast dinner?
No, it's
sacrilege, the thought of it, isn't it? It's awful. It's awful.
And we always have Yorkshire puddings in my house with a roast dinner. Always.
You can't, and stuffing. Anyway, it's time to. So I think, but then when they get here, it changes slightly, because you've also got something on our portal, haven't you? You've got on the My Care Bubble, you've got a space on there which they can register for, which has got instant messaging, it's got places you can share documents, places you can share worrying subjects. Yeah. And the nice thing about that is you also have not just you guys, there's people like myself and lots of our peers there to say, actually we're stepping, we can try and answer that question for you. So you're reaching out much further.
I think so, because although we're experts in the field of international recruitment, we're not experts in everything, and we're definitely not experts in care. So it's great to work collaboratively in this setting.
It is, and I think it's really important, because there will be a question if you're coming into the care industry that you're not quite sure about.
Exactly.
And to have somebody like myself who does know about care saying, actually, we'll hold your hand for 5 minutes and pass you back, will really help these people. So I think, they can jump on My Care Bubble and they can register on that. If they're in Devon, this is a Devon thing. Yeah. So, although you guys go way out there, so you can go everywhere, this is a Devon thing. So if you are in Devon, you can go to My Care Bubble and you can register on there and just pop in there what part of the industry you're in for international recruit. And then we'll sort you out from there, really. Yeah. Once you're in there, we allocate you to this wonderful team. But we are there too. So you can go, I just want to speak to John, and you can message me, and I can message you back. And the point about it being on My Care Bubble is, when you're on WhatsApp sometimes, you can lose the track of what you're talking about. Yeah. On My Care Bubble, and you've done it loads of times, you can start a topic, and you can all have your say on the topic, and it's really clear then that I personally think this about this subject, and have your say. I woke up last year when I got rid of my WhatsApp groups, and I had about 900 messages on there, talking about one thing. So I went through it all, keep going, and there's about 4 messages on there about what I wanted to talk about. The rest was just nonsense that people were just talking about. Yeah. So it had no impact. I couldn't evidence it anywhere, because trying to evidence that's nonsense. But if you want to change something sometimes, so if an international recruit is here and several of them need extra training, we can now evidence that, can't we? This is a common problem. Let's try and help with this.
Is there like an FAQ sheet or whatever?
Yeah, I can build one of those for you.
I was thinking that might be something that keeps coming up, and we can refer someone to.
I keep on. I'll be sat at home
because
it's so new. You're one of the only people so far that keeps on pinging stuff up.
Well, we've got a lot to say.
You've always got a lot to say. There you go. I think I don't know what I pressed that button for.
The crickets.
Yeah, it's nonsense. But so when they are in the UK, so they've had their e-learning.
Yeah.
They've had this. Introduced this cohort on WhatsApp, so they started to make friends. What are some really important things to know about where you're going? Because I think it's so easy to go, I'm going to get a flight, I've got my bag, I've got my person I'm going to go to work for, and I'm going to rock up. And then you go, oh, I don't know how to use the buses. I don't know anything about anything. I don't know where to shop. I mean, what sort of things like that are really important for the research? And is that something that you guys help them with? So if they're coming to a Newton Abbot, would you go, actually, this is what you need to be thinking when you get to this town?
A little bit. I mean, some of that also falls with the employer in their induction, and we would expect the employers to have a robust induction, a bit more robust for international recruits. Definitely take a day driving them around the town.
Well, we did that. We took them to the seaside and gave them ice creams. So it was a win. It was a win. I got to have ice cream.
Okay, yeah, it is a win, but you also need to sort of say, you know, maybe go on a walking tour from where they're living. You know, this is the supermarket. Also, it's important with banks as well. We've got connections with certain banks, and they will come out and they will open bank accounts for people. I've heard that Monzo's really good for opening an online account.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah. You don't have to go in, you can just do it online. So that is a tip for international recruits, is Monzo.
Monzo
Bank, online banking, yeah.
And then that's all online?
All online,
okay.
Yeah. I think you can opt into letters and things like that. I mean, obviously they need to send a card to you, so you can opt into things like that. But it is important, and you know, to tell them if you go to Aldi, it's going to be cheaper than if you go to Sainsbury's. It's knowing all of these things that we know and is normal sort of knowledge to us, but they won't know. So we do cover it a little bit, but we do expect employers to also have that in their induction as well. And go on walking tours and show them. I mean,
I think this is a really nice thing to do. I mean, what I liked about, I know I sort of made jest about ice cream, but actually spending a day with these people when they first got here really started off on a good foot. In general.
Probably find out more about them personally than you would just through the employment side of it, sort of thing. So
good, bad, and indifferent. You find out all of it. But I think that's a good place to start, isn't it? You know, we've all got faults, and actually to understand sometimes they might have tweaked what they're saying when they got here to get here. That's okay if you know that a little bit, and you can forgive that. You know,
it comes from a place as well where for them it feels like someone cares about them. That someone's taken an interest in them. So it makes them feel a little bit more homely, especially if they've got no friends, you know, no family here whatsoever. You know, in such a strange environment, everything is alien to them, to be fair.
And I think that's a really good point, isn't it, about being compassionate and then thinking that through. Actually, they are here sometimes in Newton Abbot completely on their own. They might have family in Birmingham or London, but they're a long way away from that.
They're still
at the moment.
Miles away, isn't it?
But what was really good about when we worked with you guys, you know, we brought a cohort over together, and they all stayed in the same place together, so they felt like they were their own little group, didn't they?
Their own family. Was nice.
So it was good, and there was no downside of it really. They you know, they had some friends, they had some support. One of the things that I struggle with though, and it is a thing that's it's a personal struggle, is when we have international recruits come in and they can speak English, they talk in their own language to themselves, and then they talk to you. I find that a struggle because I think it's almost I find that a little bit rude. I'm sorry,
I understand.
But I think I would. It'd just be nice if you speak English to us. You know, you're in the room with us. We're talking about something for you. Trying so we can understand.
Especially in front of patients as well.
So I think there's something to remember about that, isn't it? You know, people will find that offensive. I find it a little bit.
I mean, it's important to set that as a boundary, isn't it? When they first come, and you know, English is the first language that's spoken here, and you know you do need to have your English up to a certain standard. So you need to remember that the more that you speak a language that isn't English, you know your English skills aren't going to be as good as they could be.
And we're never going to mind if you get it wrong.
No, exactly.
I mean, it sounds a bit hypocritical because if I went to their country, I could not say a word, but I wouldn't be going there for a job.
No.
Because I couldn't speak that language.
But you know the expectation when you apply for the job that the expectation is to speak English.
Yeah.
So I
think that's a good point, isn't it? You know, if you're in the company of somebody who's English, especially if they're your manager or your client, just try and speak it. Even if you can't say it, I guarantee it that nobody will judge you.
No,
in fact,
no judgment at all.
In fact, people will probably have a laugh of you about it.
Exactly.
Even when I go to the States.
And you learn.
Oh, when I went to America about 2 decades ago, and they were ripping my cunt out of me because of my English was so different to their version of English.
Oh, right.
And they're like, say that again, boy, say that again. It's tearing me to pieces. You know, because I was like, I've got some trainers. I'm like, they're not trainers, they're tennis shoes. You know.
Tennis shoes?
Yeah, sneakers or whatever. Oh, God. But I think you just got to let people be people, haven't you?
But have the discussion with regard to, like, you know,
the expectation.
The expectation from them, you know, we don't have to be horrible about it, but just say, you know, I'd prefer it if they tried to speak the English while they were in our company.
Yeah.
You know, because it's good for them, it's good for everyone.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel, you know, it's good to broach the subject,
no one's excluded.
And then everyone knows exactly where they feel about it.
No, I think that's fine. I think it's different things, isn't it? I mean, if you're sat waiting and you're sat in our front office and you're just chatting between yourselves waiting, then feel free to speak what. But if you're engaging in a meeting,
I don't think so. No? I would say, and I do say this to the nurses that we recruit as well, and you can speak your own language, whatever language you'd like, in the private of your own home. But when you're on the ward, when you're in the break room, always speak English, because otherwise you're excluding people that are around you as well, and they don't know if you're talking about them. I just genuinely see it as quite rude.
Stare straight at you.
Yeah, but you just don't know if you don't understand what they're saying. Then it can come across as rude, and it is important to note that, and that is something that we cover.
And it is about building relationships and trust, isn't it? And I think certainly, if an international recruit or couple was sat in front of me and I started speaking a different language they didn't understand and was looking at them while I was saying it, they would feel uncomfortable.
Exactly. And how do you expect me to trust you if, you know, we can't have that? We can't have open conversations in front of each other. How can we build that relationship when I don't know what you're saying?
So top tip of the day then, for employers, be kind, but have the conversation.
Be kind, but set the expectation.
And for international recruits, be mindful.
Yeah.
Be mindful, because I'm sure that nobody's doing it to be rude.
No,
nobody's doing it to
not.
hide anything.
Yeah.
But be mindful that actually it does make people feel uncomfortable sometimes.
Be able to freely discuss things between them. You know? So that no one feels there's any ill feeling, but just so that they're able to feel at ease with each other with regard to asking questions and receiving information.
No, that's a good top tip. I mean, so we need to draw this to a close shortly. So pastoral care, you guys are all over it, aren't you?
Yeah.
You're doing this e-learning, which you're going to be sending out via a link.
Mm-hmm.
Remind me of your web address.
Devon-alliance.com.
Devon-alliance.com, and your email address?
devonalliance, all one word, @nhs.net.
See, okay, so we've got your details, so anybody can get in touch, can't they?
Yes.
So let's draw that to a close. Thank you very much for your time,
Thank you.
and let's keep chatting.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye.